So this is my model Rebecca, and you saw the image of the hairstyle that she wanted, and this tutorial is going to be about how to give them that very popular look but with all this long hair. So this is mostly going to be about tips on hiding hair and incorporating ways to not use all the hair but to hide it within the updo so you don't have a overgrown hairstyle on the back of their head, and then also ways to avoid a lot of bobby pins. It's a sectioning system that I use, and I'm just going to go ahead and stop here and there and share with you what and why I'm doing. So we're going to work with Rebecca's side part, and on this side there's not as much hair, but over here there's going to be a wider section. So when I go to bring this back, right now I'm going to, in my mind, think about bringing it back in two separate sections. So I want to have a nice rounded part here, and so I'm going to pin this away and leave this forward for now. I might bring it back later as curls, I might bring it back as a braid, and that would be something you would discuss with your client if she wants any braids in the style. But before I get into designing the hair, I section it and have a real idea of the breakdown so I don't get caught up in design before I have construction. So we're going to work for construction right now. So I sectioned off this area here, which is not too much hair. And if I want to have fullness or height in this area, it can't be super thick, or the weight of this length will flatten any tease and fullness that I want in this area. And then I'm going to take pretty much this whole section in here, and I'm going to hide it. I'm going to use it up because there's going to be plenty of ends, plenty of length. So I'm going to take this big chunk in here, and I'm going to show you how I hide it. So I'm going to take this whole section now, which is really the bulk. This is a lot of hair. We still got a lot left. And we're not going to need all of this for the design. Otherwise her updo will be too big for her head shape and it'll be out of proportion. And so I'm going to get this out of the way, and then I'm going to minimize all this length. I start off by putting it in a ponytail. So I made a nice tight braid, and this is going to use up a lot of hair, and this is not the time to fatten it up and to make it do all kinds of fun things. I'm going to hide it. This is nice and tight so I can get bobby pins in here, so I'm going to hide this length in here. It will become a place where I can add other pins. It'll help the design stand out, but in a sense I'm kind of getting rid of all this hair. So I don't want to come down too far because I don't want the design to be too wide. So I'm just going to leave a little, like 2 finger space right here. So what I'm going to do now is take this bottom, split it into 2 ponytails. That will make the design a bit wider where I want it to be. So I want it to be wider here, but not necessarily wider up there. And then now I'll have this area to build into. So I put a little bit of tease in this area, just enough so that when you move it around, you don't get all those splits. And she's obviously got some natural wave in here. So I'm just gonna smooth out the top layer, do a little bit of twisting on it, and bring it over to the side, and that'll be brought in again later because I'm still just building construction. So I'm just going to smooth out that top. And I want to look, if we had the mirror, which we don't have a mirror in front of her, but this is where I would always stand behind the client and I would always say, okay, this is the front, because they have to like this. If they're not happy with this, then they're not going to be happy with the back. And so we would look and we'd say, okay, do you want like a really low dip? Do you want to see more of your ear? And then I would talk with her and find out exactly how she wanted her front. And based on where we would end up and stand, if this was what she liked and I'm holding this here, then this is where I would put a ponytail so that I could put it somewhere back here. And now this section is taken care of. Now the picture that has a little bit of a twist look in there, so I'm going to just go in and split that down so I can give a little bit of a cross look to the hair that's very similar to the picture.
Feel it though, it's very stable and not tight, and
right.
It's,
Well, that's good to say.
yeah.
And that's my biggest thing was I didn't want a prom girl's hair falling out. I mean, that would just make me feel horrible, or I didn't want to give you a headache or have 1,000 bobby pins.
Yeah.
All right, so I'm going to recap on the construction. We have the section that's over here. We have the two pieces in the front that are going to create that look there. The bulk of the hair was braided and wrapped and made as flat as can be. I'm going to fatten up these braids, and we have curls on the ends. And then this thinner section here, I'm going to tease it so we get some crown, and then we also have all this hair to work with. So I'm going to put some curl in the ends here, and then I'm going to tease the crown. So it can get, you might want to get into construction, and you might want to get into design well ahead of construction, just because it's the fun bits, but it's also the stressful bits. If the construction, now the model already said this feels so much tighter than the last time she had this style, which was just done loose and freehanded with lots of bobby pins. So that's the plus of this look, is that it's firm, you have places to pin into, and you'll see how as it comes together, it's like the picture and not too big on her head. So now I'm just going to put some curls in the ends here. So you can see I did the crown teasing in layers here. So we just, and it's only in this area, because that's all that we want the height for, is right there. So I'm going to smooth that back. So I smoothed out my top layer. Remember, we had that braid there. And I'm going to find a place to put a ponytail after I have the fall the way that I want it. And then I'll be able to pin that right in. Alright, so I'm going to pin that right in here. Alright, now is the fun part. We've done all the constructing of the sections, and now I'm going to design and put everything together. So what I've got here is I got this little elastic piece, and then I got a nice tight section there. So with one bobby pin, I'm going to go in and feel for that elastic, and I'll get it nice and tight. I don't want to get in your way. We still have this to come around and this to come around. So we still have lots of hair to work with. And just kind of play around, fatten it up, pull on it, drag it, think about. And I kind of, at this point, I let the hair talk to me. So when I just did that, I can take this whole section, pin it there, drag that knot over there. So I play around and I let the hair kind of show me where it wants to go. Basically, I'm only interested in getting a similar look to the picture, not forcing the hair in a particular way. It's more about construction, shape, balance, and texture. Right where I'm pinching, right where you pinch is where you pin. So I'm going to go in, and I always try to get that bobby pin to hug right under my thumb, so I know I've got the bit of hair that I want it to grab. But because of the construction method and the freedom I have basically artistically now, because I'm not fighting with hair, we can get really creative. And it doesn't even mean yet that these need to live where they are. This is still kind of here. So if I want to move that in, move it around, I will still do more fine tuning as I get to the end. But you saw all that went up in one ponytail. Now, the decision I'm making here is there's more hair on this side because of that thick side part, and there's less hair on this side because we don't have the part. So there's no sense for me to continue building up here because I've got a lot of hair that's going to rest here. So I'm going to drag this one over in that direction. I like to call it the thinking stylist system. So the construction, you think through it, the building, you think through it, and every decision has a purpose, and it creates this design in the end where it's not frustrating, it's not worrisome, and I hope it makes a lot of sense to you. So here's that ponytail in there. Remember, we got that big thick braid underneath there. So I'm going to go catch some of that elastic and pin right in there. When you're working with this much hair, and this is the look you want, but you've used all the hair, you run out of places to put the hair. So the updo keeps getting wider and higher, and you lose that style that was the original design. And so we're not going to come up to or get too wide because of the system and the construction. And when I work with clients for real, I obviously use product, but when I'm working on a model, I really don't want to have, it's a longer process than it would be in the salon, and I just don't want to cake her up with all kinds of hairspray. So take a look. If you want to look, this is gorgeous right in here. Really, really pretty. And I'm going to bring this piece back. And now, as I have my ends here from this side, and in a sense, we've had our consultation, we know how she likes and how she wants that very front to look. And if I feel that this is, again, just a little too much length, it would take a lot of bobby pins to turn that into a pin curl or whatnot. I'm going to add another ponytail right here, which helps cut down the weight and the heaviness again, and can fatten that up. And the once I give her the mirror, and I want to make her feel that she's in command of this design, that I'm going to have her stand up, I give them the mirror, I have them look at it from all sides, and it's still kind of loose and unsprayed. And I'm going to do a final tightening, is like what I like to say. I'm going to do a final pinning it in. And certainly it's based on, is she going to sleep in this? Does she want it to last 2 days? Is this, does she like to dance a lot? Is this just a photo shoot so it doesn't have to be in forever? There's lots of questions that have already happened in the consultation. So we got an elastic there. I'm going to go in. Because I have this elastic, it doesn't matter if I grab all of this hair or not. I can grab a couple of strands of it. It's going to hold because of the little elastics. When you pin in hair and you put a lot of pins, it'll take that section and it'll flatten it out and it'll be wide. When it's an elastic, the section stays fatter and you don't lose the movement, and you don't have a big flat spot on the head that you have to kind of, now you gotta hide all those flat bobby pins with another curl. And so it's just curls on top of bobby pins on top of hairpins, and it just gets to be a little much. Pin where my thumbs are. And I always like to say, nothing is a mistake. If I make a pin and a decision and it doesn't work for me, then I take it out and find something that works. I don't allow myself to say, well, that was stupid or that's a mistake. It's not. It's an experiment. And that will help maintain your nerves and help you not, because when you lose it, and the client will feel it, and that nervous energy on top of the nervous excitement because she's going to an event, and your nerves and her nerves, it just is a pretty bad nerve cocktail. So my system for constructing and building and consultation is also all about trying to maintain calm through the whole style. So I'm going to take a look and just see what I want to do here. Okay, so this side is a bit full, heavy, and done because we've got that thicker side. And so then obviously right here there's a hole, and I'm going to bring this over in here, and then I'm going to bring this over here, and then this is my last piece, and I will save this piece because of her length. It could be dragged and brought over here, it could be brought under, it could be brought through the middle. There's a lot of things, so I usually like to leave a piece at the end that's going to either be creative and decorative. This could be a braid, and we could weave it through and there'd be pretty braid design, but there's always one piece at the end that either fills an empty spot or adds a creative detail. Sometimes too, with these naturally natural highlights on her virgin hair, you've got these beautiful little streaks of blonde, and sometimes I like to make sure that that's shows up. And if it's just a matter of just twisting it a little bit to get that little pretty streak showing, then that's what I'm going to do. And these are decisions that, because of the construction method, because of the consultation method, because of the whole entire system that I teach, your brain is creatively free. When we're stressed, our frontal lobe gets confused and we can't make creative decisions. And it's really important that we are free to make creative decisions, because these are the little details that are going to sell her back again as a client, and then also have her friends come and just that whole referral. So now you have that beautiful look on super long hair that is not a massive ball of hair, because we are able to hide a good percentage of it. And it's very fitting. So you would never know that she had feet. How many feet? 3, 2 or 3 feet of hair. And got a nice fullness. I like the opening here in her neck. And that is how you construct and hide all this hair and never say you can't give a client what she wants. There's always a way, right? Thank you.